The clock in the town square rang midnight. Then it rang once more. Then a third time. Nobody in Gratham remembered it ever doing that. It was a large clock built into the courthouse tower, struck every hour since 1893. It never rang more than it should. Until tonight. By the third chime, everyone still awake felt something wrong. Some stood at their windows, others flicked on porch lights. But most did nothing. Not out of calm, but from a sudden, heavy paralysis, like the town had taken a deep breath and forgotten how to exhale. At 12:04, the dogs began barking. Every yard, every kennel. Then they went quiet, all at once. At 12:05, the power cut out. Gratham's silence deepened, pressing against eardrums like pressure underwater. The stars above flickered red, like the sky itself had bruised. Then came the first scream. It tore through the east side of town, raw and full of wet gurgling. A second scream followed. Then a third. The night didn't erupt in chaos. Chaos implies movement or energy. This was quieter, deadlier. The screams came in bursts, then silence. Again and again. Like a hunt. By 12:10, the only sounds were dragging and chewing. Kyle Mercer had lived in Gratham his whole life. 32 years, 2 kids, 1 ex-wife, and a job at the hardware store. The power cut had woken his daughter, Mia, who whispered from the doorway of his bedroom, "Daddy, something's wrong." He didn't tell her she was wrong. He didn't tell her to go back to sleep. He just picked the baseball bat from under his bed and said, "Come here, stay close." She held his hand tightly. He could feel her shaking, but he was shaking worse. They moved downstairs in the slow, deliberate steps of people expecting to find something already inside. He peeked through the blinds. Nothing. But not the usual kind of nothing. The kind of nothing that waits. "Basement, now," he said. "But Mommy said we shouldn't go down there if there's a storm." "This isn't a storm. Go, now." He didn't explain. He couldn't. He just knew. The air had changed. It was thick and iron-scented. He remembered that smell from when he shot a deer once, a decade ago, blood drying in the cold wind. They descended into the basement. Kyle locked the door behind them, then pushed the old freezer in front of it. "Don't make a sound," he said. Mia nodded, her eyes wide and glassy. They sat in the dark for 3 minutes. Then something began tapping at the back wall. Not scratching, but tapping. Like fingernails. Patient. Precise. Testing. Kyle reached for the breaker panel. Still dead. He grabbed for the flashlight he kept duct-taped to the water pipe and clicked it on. A faint light spilled across the cinder block walls. The tapping stopped. He didn't dare speak, didn't breathe hard, just held Mia tight. The wall behind the water heater began to bulge. Not as if something hit it, more like it was stretching, like latex over something immense. Cracks spidered from the mortar lines. Mia whimpered. The wall split down the middle, and a hand slid through. It had too many fingers. Kyle swung and the bat hit bone. Something screeched like a pig choking underwater. Mia screamed. The hand vanished. The wall somehow sealed back over. "That's not possible," Kyle whispered. He didn't know if he meant the wall or the hand. Across town, Mrs. Callahan hobbled through her garden, eyes wide and tear-blind. She had lived in Gratham since 1948. She had buried her husband, 2 sons, and a grandchild. She thought nothing could frighten her anymore. Then, her dead husband had knocked on the door.
"Helen, it's Red now. Come see,"
He said, with no lips. She hadn't screamed, just ran. She made it 6 steps past the hydrangeas before something yanked her into the soil. There was no hole there, no sink, no grave, but she went under anyway. The clock tower rang again. 1 chime, 2, 3, then 4. It was 12:28, and it kept chiming. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The bell grew louder, deeper. The sound rattled windows, cracked mirrors. 10, 11, 12, 13. The air pulsed with it. Blood vessels swelled. Noses bled. Infants shrieked. Then it hit 20. Kyle clutched his ears. Mia sobbed into his chest. He could hear words inside the ringing now. Not human words, not language, but intent. And then a crack opened in the basement floor. Not a metaphorical one. A crack, a jagged, dark slit in the concrete, wide enough to swallow a child. Mia backed away. Kyle reached for her, too slow. A tendril whipped from the crack and latched around her ankle. He brought the bat down on it again and again, screaming and crying. The bat cracked in half. So did the tendril. It squealed and let go. Smoke poured from the wound, the crack sealed with a hiss. Mia stared at her leg. No blood, just a round imprint, like a kiss made of teeth. By 12:45, there were fewer than 50 people alive in Gratham. They hadn't all been killed. Some had been taken. The houses stood pristine, doors locked, but no one inside. Some homes were worse. Windows covered in blood, words smeared in entrails and gore. The red hour is come. The skin is a lie. This is the price. Sheriff Donnelly tried to radio out. His office had power somehow, but the signal just fed back a warbling voice.
"Hello? Donnelly? Yes? Yes? This is outside. We see you. We see you now."
He shot the radio. At 12:58, Kyle decided to run. Not fight, not hide, but run. He swept Mia into his arms and opened the storm door that led to his backyard. He didn't know where he was going, but away sounded nice. He made it 15 steps before the sky cracked open. A something poured down. Not water, not fire, not light. Just a wrongness, a red so deep it had weight. It hit the street and rippled toward him. He turned and ran, but fell. Mia tumbled from his arms, rolled into the ditch. "Mia!" He reached for her, just as the red wave hit. It didn't burn, it peeled. Every layer of his skin unwound like wet paper. He didn't bleed. The blood went up like a vapor. He couldn't scream. He had no lips left to do so. At 1 a.m., The clock struck once. Only once. Then it fell silent. Forever. The sky cleared. The stars returned to white. The power flickered back on. By 1:02, the town of Gratham was quiet. 37 survivors, and not one of them would ever speak again. Not by choice.